was about, I don't know, maybe I was 21. I was living in a little apartment in Silver Lake with my dad, and I was reading the LA Free Press, and Notes from a Dirty Old Man was in there, and I just thought, this is remarkable. This guy's the writer of the century, and he's being published in this kind of street rag, which seemed kind of poetic and perfect for him to be there. And of course, you felt much more like you had discovered him as well, and that he wasn't being brought to you, but you had to dig and find him.
We had a mutual friend, and he had a girlfriend named Mary. So they were having a party, and Bukowski and I were going to the party. And there was a guy watering his lawn and kind of trimming the edges. Can I come too? I'm all alone here. Bukowski says, yeah, come on up, man, bring a six-pack.
They all said, yes, yes, yes. And I said, hey, wait. He says, oh, come on, let me come along. I said, all right, come on.
And they got to talking, all of us, about the Vietnam War and how bad it was, and we're all against the war, and yeah, war is bad, Bukowski says.
He's talking about the war he's been in and how many people he killed. I said, bullshit, get out of here. He said, you don't like me? I said, yeah, leave.
Suddenly the guy takes out a gun, and he says, I was in the war, and I believe in killing the enemy.
Suddenly I had no friends around me, they kind of disappeared away.
I tried to edge toward the kitchen. I was going to go out and get help. Maybe I was running, but I really think I was trying to edge out to get help.
So he came up behind me. He put the gun to my temple.
Bukowski puts his belly in the muzzle of the gun. He says, go ahead and kill me, man. I don't think you have the guts.
I said, I'm a suicide case anyhow. I've been wondering how to do this thing now. You solved my problem.
A couple more minutes went by because I couldn't edge out. He kept looking at me. So I got
And you've got a problem. Either life in jail or the electric chair.
The guy looks up at him. Come on, man, go ahead, kill me. The guy drops the gun and starts crying. I didn't mean it, The
screen door slammed. He walked out.
So Bukowski picks up the gun, empties it.
All my friends came around. Oh, Hank, you are. I said, yeah, you guys were really great while I was in the... You really helped me, didn't you? Just standing, watching. You couldn't have grabbed him from behind or anything. Well, Hank goes, oh, okay.
Big hero or what? I think he just had psyched the guy out.
I lucked it. But I was really ready to go. It wouldn't have been a big thing.
John Martin could see. John Martin could feel the public out there. After a certain number of books, John Martin started to realize that there was going to be an audience for this writer, and that Bukowski needed to focus himself full-time. And Bukowski was very resistant to that. If I go out there and lose my tenure at the post office, and lose my gig and my ability to support myself, and we fail, where do I go?
You see, this man came by while I was still in the post office. John Martin, he publishes my stuff. The Black Sparrow. He came by one night.
We sat down in his little dingy room and got out a piece of paper, and we figured out what it cost him to live. And he was putting down these amounts like $3.50 a month for cigarettes and $19 for food. You gotta remember, this is in the mid-60s. Rent was $80. Child support was $15, and we came up with $100. And I said, you could really get along on $100 a month? And he said, yes. So I said, okay, I'll give you 25% of my income for life, whether this works or not, but you've got to quit and write full time. Very reckless. I didn't tell my wife.
So I'll give you $100 a month for the rest of your life, whether you write anything or not. That's pretty good, It gets the rent anyhow. It may not get the child support, but it gets the rent. So that gave me some heart,
But didn't you feel kind of odd, like casting your fate with this guy who's this hard-drinking kind of wild man?
No, because that was all overridden by the fact of who he really was, not the distorted part of him. but what he really stood for and what made him important. I mean, the first time I read him, I said, my God, this is today's Whitman. This is the man of the street writing for the people in the street. And when you get an opportunity, whether you're a banker or a hold-up man, you go for it. And there was Bukowski, and I thought, if this guy will commit his future work to me, that'll start me off. I said to him at the end of 1969, I know you're a poet, and that's what I'm planning to publish, and that's why I'm starting Black Sparrow Press, to publish your poetry. But if you ever could write a novel, that would be really great, because novels sell a lot better than books of poetry. But never thinking that he could or would. So he started work for me, $100 a month, on January 2nd, 1970. And he called me around the 25th of January and said, in kind of a low-key way, come and pick it up. I said, well, pick up what? And he said, my novel. You said to write a novel. And I said, how could you write a novel in 3 or 4 weeks? And he said, fear.
Bukowski hated those pastoral beginnings. It was a beautiful land, rugged. There were snow-capped mountains in the distance. And Tom Haney came along in his old jalopy, you know, that oh my God, Bukowski would say, why do they start with crap like that? That isn't real. And so, how does Post Office begin? What is the first line? It began as a mistake. I mean, what a great opening. Then the reader thinks, well, what began as a mistake? My life, you know, as a postal worker for 12 years, and here's the story. What did he finally do? For all the pain, for all the trouble of working there, he brings us a humorous novel.
My name was Dom Muto, right? He changes it to Tom, which is legitimate. Moto, which is Japanese. I mean, didn't he realize that? No slur against the Japanese. It's a wonderful name either way. But where's his creativity? He could have called me Graziano or something, you know.
Was the book accurate?
The book was accurate.
You know, my dad spent a lot of time in the bars, so I was drawn to places like that, dark places. My dad drank in the afternoon in really dark bars. And so I guess that's how it began. And of course, it's much more than that. But the place that I hooked into him was the fact that he was seemed to be a writer of the common people and street people, and looking in the corners of the dark corners where no one seems to want to go, and certainly not write about. And so, yeah, he seemed like he was the writer for the dispossessed and the people who didn't have a voice.
I sold that collection to the University of California in Santa Barbara for $50,000. They were all first editions. This is back in the mid-'60s, and $50,000 was $50,000, and that's what I started with. And after about 2 years or 3 years, because I wasn't working, had no other income, I got down to $500. And I thought, well, it's back to work. This has been a great run, but it's over. And then that week, for the first time, more money came in than went out. And at that point, Bukowski and I were on our way.
Anybody who's feeling the ups and downs in a capitalist society feels good at reading about a guy who's actually preaching the refusal to work. What factotum preaches is the refusal to work, not the abnegation of the Protestant work ethic, but, you know, the fundamental wrongness of it all, the incredible waste of a life dictated by others.
He's a magic man. I saw him shrink once, actually. I was at Linda King had a party, and she invited me, and I probably shouldn't have gone because he didn't invite me. Linda King was ferociously flirting with every man there. It was very awkward, kind of silly. So at the end of the party, there's like 8 or 9 people left, and I'm next to the door, and out of nowhere, he's at the door. There's 8 or 9 of us, and he just started this rage. He's about 6 foot, 5'11", 6 foot, and I was watching him. And it's just, I didn't understand any of the words, but it was like a volcano was erupting, and everybody's kind of stuck in place. And he started, I'm looking at him, and he started to reduce in size and height proportionally. I swear to God, and I believe in God, I swear to God, he was 2.5 feet tall, as I see my hand now. You know, I saw him 2.5, and I just didn't want him to get big again, so I turned around and went right out the front door.
I was with my girlfriend, and she had her foot up there. I was going in circles in the street, stopping, starting, stunting. Her heel did that when she's bracing herself. She thought we were going to die, but we didn't. It's a nice design. I like it. The car's beginning to look like me.
You know, I used to think a long time ago I was too ugly for women, but I found out women are very strong people. If you have something good to give them, you know, like your feelings, women are strong. They don't care if you have 1 arm or 5 fingers missing or your nose blown off. If you just...
No such luck. Women was the book that Hank was writing, was it? When I met him. Yes, as a matter of fact, because he was doing what he called research. It started out with a woman who he had been with for a long time, Linda King, and he was sort of breaking up with her. When he got a little bit of notoriety, women started coming to him, and he had the opportunity to sort of take his pick and just sort of have experiences. And like a child almost, he was discovering this whole world of women in a way that he hadn't. And then he was involved with this other one named Cupcakes O'Brien.
I thought of him more as a friend. He was, to me, more of a father figure. I didn't take the relationship that seriously. I can't say that I ever was in love with him.
So he would sing to me occasionally the song that went, and to this day I don't know that I've ever heard it. I don't know if it's a real song or if it was one he just made up. But it goes something like, mean to me. Why must you be so mean to me?
Mean to me. How can you be mean to me?
This is before my time.
How can you be mean to me?
So yeah, he was crazy about her, and she had him at her beck and call. In other words, she didn't care. She could go off for a week and not even think about him, and he would just agonize the whole week. You know that one poem about the confused old man driving around in the rain.
It's a cupcake. No. All right. Go ahead. You're waiting for her, yeah? No. She'll be mad for a week.
Why are you so mean to me? Why must you be mean to me? Gee, honey, it seems to me you love to see me crying. I don't know why I stay home each night when you say you'll phone. You don't, and I'm left alone, singing the blues and crying.
I remember once going over to his place on Carlton Way, and there was a beat-up old couch on the porch in front, and here's these 2 absolutely untouched, beautiful, blonde Dutch girls waiting for him to come home. And they wanted to know where he was. I said, well, I guess he's at the track, but I'm meeting him at 5 o'clock. And they said, oh, we want to see Bukowski. I said, well, what do you want to see him for? I said, oh, to fuck him.
While reading your book, Women, one could get the impression that for you, a woman is nothing more than a behind and a pair of tits.
Oh, come on. You read it and that's all you got? You didn't even get the parts where I cried in bed because tears came to my face because I invited 2 women to have Thanksgiving with me and I didn't know which one to go to. I mean, no, there are many moments in there where I looked like a complete asshole and I felt like one. No, I just wasn't jumping into bed and fucking and jumping out of bed. I'm sorry. It would be nice for me to say that and pretend I'm the tough guy, but I'm not that tough.
But in your stories, love is always a synonym for sexual intercourse.
Where do you
That's not too romantic.
Where do you get this crap, baby? Love is a dog from hell. That's all. It has its own agonies. It brings its own agonies with it. But I mean, I don't know where you get your concepts from, man. You're really fucked up.
You know, I remember that there was a moment where he and I talked about it, in the sense that accusations of misogyny. And he said really simply, you know, everybody who's read it knows that on a percentage basis, I treat men worse every time. You know, and in essence, he does, because so much is autobiographical, and it's about making mistakes in a messy world.
Oh, this is called the shower. We like to shower afterwards. I like the water hotter than she. And her face is always soft and peaceful. And she'll wash me first, spread the soap over my balls, lift the balls, squeeze them, then wash the cock. Hey, this thing is still hard. Then get all the hair down there, the belly, the back, the neck, the legs. I grin, and then I wash her. Another kiss, and she gets out first, toweling, sometimes singing while I stay in. Turn the water on hotter, feeling the good times of love's miracle. Linda, you brought it to me. Sorry. When you take it away, chew it slowly and easily. Make it as if I were dying in my sleep instead of in my life. Amen. See? I'm getting this way. Sentimental. Shit, I'm sorry. That's the one I split with after 5 years. It was not a very good reading. Linda, yeah. I read you the wrong poem. Shit. Getting softer and softer, kid.
And during that time, I met him at a poetry reading in LA at the Troubadour. But he was still doing all this research with women, so I had no intention of becoming a girlfriend or anything. So he just sort of evolved a friendship, and I was somebody he'd always call on the phone, and he'd talk to me about all these other women, and then it just got more and more involved, and the women came in and out and went through his life, and finally his research was complete. And I ended up there. They were all gone. We got rid of them.
He did a beautiful painting for this. We reproduced that. It's still on the cover. This book is in about a 30th printing. And then he used to send me these